What you just saw was, in my opinion, Mat Cauthon's most epic moment in the entire show, hands down. The second he blew the horn of Belair, something clicked. That was the moment Mat awakened his past life memories and remembered who he really was, not just a rogue or comic relief, but one of the legendary heroes himself. In his previous life, he was a brilliant military mind, a master tactician, and one of the Dragon Reborn's greatest allies. But in those past lifetimes, the battle against the Dark One always ended in failure, or at least never fully succeeded. That's why in this age, he was reborn as Mat Cauthon, meant to walk alongside Rand, the Dragon Reborn of this era. So today's video is all about Mat, his story, his journey, and how the show adapted his character. Because there's so much to cover, I've decided to break it up into a few parts. In the coming episodes, I'll dive into the stories of other key characters as well. All right, let's get started. Although the show was cut and Mat himself went through the infamous actor switch, it only highlights how important and weighty this character is in the original novel series. Today, we're diving into Mat Cauthon's full journey, starting from the Two Rivers and exploring how he grows and evolves. Mat Cauthon is initially portrayed as a carefree trickster, playful, lazy, and not to be taken seriously. It's likely that Robert Jordan originally intended him as comic relief, a bit of levity alongside the more serious protagonists. But as the story unfolds and the plot becomes more layered and expansive, Mat transforms into something much more. The author clearly decided to give each main character their own fully developed narrative arc, turning the Wheel of Time into a sprawling, multi-threaded epic. When I first started reading the books, I didn't fully understand why the early chapters focused so heavily on the Two Rivers and its characters. Only later did I realize the story begins in the Two Rivers for a reason, and everything that follows echoes back to it. That early setup is essential. In the show, Mat is noticeably absent for most of Season 2. He barely appears, only to return right at the end for his big moment, blowing the horn of Belair. But in the novels, that's not how things play out. His rise is gradual, complex, and deeply earned. So in this episode, I want to explore Mat's role and growth by comparing how his story plays out in the books versus the TV series, and why his journey matters so much in the larger scope of the Wheel of Time. In the Eye of the World, Maitre Mat Cauthon is first introduced in the peaceful village of Emergence Field, nestled in the Two Rivers region of Andor. At the start of the story, Mat is a 17-year-old farm boy with a roguish charm, an ever-present grin, and a well-known reputation for getting into trouble. He's the classic prankster, mischievous, impulsive, but fiercely loyal to his friends. Mat lives with his parents, Aiel and Nynaeve Cauthon, and has two younger sisters, Bodawin and Eldrin. While not particularly studious or serious, Mat is popular among the village youth, and often drags Rand al'Thor and Perrin Aybara into his schemes. His antics like dyeing a dog bright green or trying to sneak fireworks from a traveling peddler are legendary in Emond's Field. Though harmless at heart, he's seen as a bit of a rascal by the adults and a source of endless headaches for the women's circle, especially Nynaeve Almira. Mat's personality in these early chapters is lighthearted, impulsive, and thrill-seeking. He rarely thinks ahead and has a knack for saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. Unlike Rand, who is more stoic and duty-bound, or Perrin, who is cautious and thoughtful, Mat is the friend who will act first and deal with the consequences later. Despite this recklessness, Mat is also shown to be loyal, protective, and surprisingly clever in a pinch. These traits aren't fully developed in the Eye of the World, but glimpses of his potential peak through the chaos he often causes. Mat doesn't have a clear romantic interest in the Eye of the World. While he flirts and jokes, particularly when the group meets outsiders like Min or Egwene in a teasing, brotherly way, his character arc hasn't yet shifted toward romantic development. His later, more serious relationship with Tuon is far from view at this point. The pivotal event that sets Mat's journey in motion is the attack on Emond's Field by Trollocs, beast-like creatures serving the Dark One. On Winter Night, the festival celebrating the turning of the year, the village is suddenly and brutally assaulted. Mat, along with Rand and Perrin, is targeted by these shadowspawn, though they don't understand why. Following the attack, the Aes Sedai Moiraine Damodred and her warder Lan Mandragoran reveal that the boys are being hunted for a reason tied to the Dark One's growing influence. To protect the village and to uncover the truth, the trio leaves their home under cover of night, joined by Egwene and later Tom Merrilin, the Gleeman. Early in the journey, Mat is the least cautious and the most skeptical of moiraine. He distrusts Aes Sedai and frequently jokes inappropriately, which causes tension. He often acts as comic relief, though this masks his growing fear and confusion. His impulsive nature also becomes dangerous, most notably in the ruined city of Shadar Logoth, where he steals a cursed dagger from a long-dead kingdom. This action would set off a much darker arc in future books, but in the eye of the world, the consequences only start to show as he becomes moodier, paranoid, and distant. Despite this, Mat shares many formative experiences with Rand and Perrin during the flight from the Shadow. The trio is separated and forced to survive on their own. Mat and Rand, in particular, spend a significant portion of the book traveling together, performing in inns to earn coin, dodging dark friends, and bonding as close friends in a world rapidly growing darker. Their friendship is central to Mat's arc. Even when Mat becomes increasingly affected by the dagger's influence, Rand sticks by him, refusing to give up on his friend. Mat in the eye of the world is still a boy on the brink of transformation. He begins as the funny, mischievous sidekick, but slowly starts walking a path toward a much greater destiny. His actions, for better or worse, already shape major events and hint that there's far more to him than anyone in Emond's Field might expect. In the next chapter, Mat's character begins to truly come into his own. His personality starts to take shape in a distinctive way, and that personality ultimately shapes his fate. His temperament foreshadows his extraordinary journey ahead. In many ways, this reflects the author's creative evolution. While Robert Jordan likely had a broad outline in place from the beginning, as the writing progressed and the characters came to life, he began weaving in more nuanced traits and vivid characterization. Mat is no longer just a supporting role or a comic sidekick. He's becoming a fully realized figure with his own voice, path, and purpose. By the time the Great Hunt begins, Mat Cauthon is no longer just a mischievous village prankster. He is a young man burdened with a dangerous artifact and teetering on the edge of darkness. The dagger he stole from Shadar Logoth in Book 1 is still corrupting him, draining his energy, affecting his mind, and linking his soul to the malevolent spirit of Mordeth. This book marks the beginning of Mat's descent into shadow, but also sows the seeds of his eventual rise as one of the series' most beloved and pivotal characters. Mat's arc in The Great Hunt is initially dominated by the dagger's growing influence. He is increasingly irritable, distrustful, and aggressive, even toward his closest friends. Moiraine is unable to fully cleanse him, and Mat becomes dangerously unstable. His connection to the dagger is so strong that when it is physically separated from him, his life is immediately at risk. To save him, Mat must be taken to the Aes Sedai at the White Tower in Tar Valon. This journey becomes his main thread in the first half of the book. Accompanied by Rand and Perrin, Mat travels to Tar Valon, growing sicker by the day. Upon arrival, he undergoes a healing ritual performed by several powerful Aes Sedai, including seanchan and veren Mathwin. The healing severs his bond with the dagger, but not without cost. He is left physically weak and psychologically scarred. The healing is also incomplete, as part of the corruption lingers within him, creating long-term consequences. Parallel to Mat's personal struggle is the introduction of the Horn of Valyre, a legendary artifact capable of summoning dead heroes of the pattern to fight in the last battle. When Thane steals the horn in Mat's dagger, it triggers a pursuit across the land. Despite still recovering, Mat insists on joining the hunt, motivated less by heroism and more by desperation to retrieve the dagger, which still tugs at his soul. He cannot rest without it. This journey leads Mat, Rand, and Perrin to Falme on the western coast, where the seanchan, foreign invaders with enslaved magic users called Daumon, have established a foothold. This is where Mat's fate begins to shift. During the climactic battle at Falme, the Horn of Valyre is blown, not by Mat as in the TV adaptation, but by Rand's companion, Mat himself in the novel. Yes, it's Mat who sounds the horn in the books, officially becoming its bonded bearer. This moment is monumental. When Mat blows the horn, the legendary heroes of the horn, including Artur Hawkwing, manifest on the battlefield and assist in driving back the seanchan and the shadowspawn. Though Mat does not yet fully understand the weight of this act, It marks a turning point in his arc, from cursed village troublemaker to a figure of destiny. It's worth noting that once the horn is blown by someone, it is bound to them until their death. This creates a unique situation. Mat, who detests prophecy and fate, is now tied directly into both. Mat continues to be cynical, sarcastic, and deeply skeptical of the Aes Sedai and their schemes. He constantly jokes to cover his fear and uncertainty, and though he often seems selfish, his actions speak otherwise. He risks everything to recover the dagger, not just for himself, but for his friends. His courage begins to shine through, hidden behind layers of bravado and wisecracks. Though he's not yet the general or gambler we meet in later books, the foundation is forming. He's fast-talking, resourceful, and has an uncanny knack for getting out of impossible situations, foreshadowing the luck-based powers that will later emerge. Mat's journey in the Great Hunt shows us the cost of his past choices, but also the courage behind them. He's not just comic relief or a background friend. He's now tied to ancient prophecies and heroic legends, whether he likes it or not. And though he'd never admit it, Mat Cauthon is starting to become a legend himself. If the Great Hunt was the turning point for Mat's destiny, then the Dragon Reborn is where he begins to truly step into his own. Though much of this book is centered on Rand's journey and Mat spends the first part bedridden, this volume marks Mat's emergence as a fully fleshed-out protagonist. His personality sharpens, his role expands, and his mysterious connection to the pattern grows deeper. The story picks up in the White Tower, where Mat is recovering from the life-threatening healing he received in the Great Hunt. The Aes Sedai removed the taint of the Shadar Logoth dagger, but the toll on his body was immense. He's weak, starving constantly, and emotionally unstable. Yet Mat's trademark sarcasm and irreverence are already returning. He resents the White Tower's control and bristles against being treated like a pawn. But something has changed. Even in his weakened state, Mat still exudes a strange pull-a-thread of destiny beginning to tug at him. Shortly after his recovery, Mat is sent to Cairhien on a mission by the Amirlan seat, seanchan, to deliver a sealed letter to Queen Morgase of Andor and to keep an eye on Elayne, Egwene, and Nynaeve, who are traveling in disguise. The Aes Sedai still don't trust Mat, but they also begin to realize that he may be more than just a troublemaker from the Two Rivers. While en route, something peculiar begins to happen. Mat starts winning at everything. Dice, cards, random street tosses, you name it. His luck becomes supernatural, uncanny, and unbreakable. This luck is not just coincidence, it's the pattern itself, twisting in his favor. This development becomes one of Mat's defining traits. He's a gambler, not just by nature, but by cosmic design. In one of his earliest moments of solo glory, Mat, still fresh out of bed, takes on two of the White Tower's best swordsmen, Galad Damodred and Gawain Trakand. Armed with nothing but a quarterstaff, Mat defeats them both in front of a crowd, shocking onlookers and proving that he's not to be underestimated. This scene is crucial. It marks the first time Mat truly stands on his own without Rand or Perrin and shines through wit, instinct, and sheer tenacity. Mat's journey soon entangles him in layers of political and magical conflict. He discovers that Elaida, one of the Aes Sedai, is plotting against Elayne. He also learns that Tom Merrilin, his old friend, is alive and embroiled in the dangerous undercurrents of Cairhien's great game, Daes de Mar. Mat rescues Tom and drags him into the unfolding plot. Eventually, Mat follows the trail of his friends to Tyr, where Rand is pursuing the legendary sword, Kalandor, hidden in the heart of the stone. Along the way, Mat uncovers a plot to assassinate Elayne and sabotages it using his cunning and uncanny luck. Throughout the Dragon Reborn, Mat is forced into situations far beyond his comfort zone. He begins the book weakened and bitter, but ends it confident, deadly, and irreversibly tied to the fate of the world. Importantly, Mat remains deeply resistant to prophecy, fate, and the Dragon Reborn narrative. He doesn't want to be a hero. He just wants a good meal, a deck of cards, and a way out of Aes Sedai trouble. But the pattern has other plans. In the final chapters, Mat fights his way through the Stone of Tyr, a fortress thought to be impenetrable. His goal, to rescue Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elayne from captivity. Armed with nothing but cleverness, courage, and sheer luck, Mat succeeds where armies would fail. Simultaneously, Rand claims Kalendor, proving he is the Dragon Reborn. Mat, though not directly involved in Rand's trial, emerges from the events with a growing reputation and a newfound sense of purpose, whether he admits it or not. Next up, let's talk about some of the key differences between the books and the show. The series couldn't really follow the novel's original storytelling style, mainly because Robert Jordan included so much background, world building, and long-term foreshadowing. If the show tried to stick too closely to that structure, a lot of people probably would have tuned out early on. So what I'm going to do is break things down for you. I'll lay out the full storyline from season 1 of the show and compare it with the content from the first and second books in the series. Let's line up the overlapping plot lines and get a better look at how things were adapted. In the book, only Rand, Mat, and Perrin initially leave with Moiraine and Lan. Egwene follows shortly after, and Nynaeve tracks them down in secret. The show condenses this, sending all 5 together from the start, tightening the narrative and keeping the cast united early on. Their journey quickly turns dangerous. Hunted by darkness, the group finds shelter in the ruins of Shadar Logoth, an abandoned city where evil lingers. There, Mat finds a strange dagger. He takes it, unknowingly binding himself to a corrupting force. As they flee the city, the group is split. Rand and Mat go one way, Egwene and Perrin another, while Lan and Moiraine are left to regroup, with Nynaeve emerging to join them. In the books, this split also happens after Shadar Logoth, but Mat's corruption develops more slowly. The show leans heavily into it, foreshadowing a descent into darkness that becomes central to his arc. Separated and vulnerable, each pair faces unique dangers. Rand and Mat meet a kindly farmer, but soon find themselves pursued by a Fade. Mat begins to deteriorate. He grows distant, paranoid. Perrin and Egwene, meanwhile, fall in with the peaceful Tuatha'an, or Tinkers, before being captured by the fanatical White Cloaks. Perrin's eyes begin to change, gold and unnatural, hinting at something wild within him. In the novel, Perrin's connection to wolves develops gradually and subtly. The show brings it to the surface much earlier. To add emotional stakes, the show invents a backstory where Perrin accidentally kills his wife in the first episode, a tragic beat not found in the books. As the characters inch closer to Tarvalon, the political heart of the Aes Sedai, they are finally reunited. Mat's condition has worsened. It's clear the dagger is poisoning him. Moiraine takes control, using her power to sever the dagger's grip. Nynaeve begins to reveal her immense magical potential, untrained, raw, but incredibly powerful. In one explosive moment, she heals an entire battlefield of wounded Aes Sedai and warders, shocking everyone present. Nynaeve's healing gift does exist in the books, but the show brings it to the forefront much earlier and dramatizes it with flair. Meanwhile, a new threat emerges. Logain Ablar, a man who claims to be the Dragon Reborn. Captured and brought to Tarvalon, he is gentled, his ability to channel stripped from him. In the books, Logain appears but plays a minor role early on. The show elevates him, using him to illustrate the danger of male channelers and the cost of power. In Tarvalon, we're introduced to the complex world of Aes Sedai politics. Moiraine answers to the Emergence seat, Seanchan. In a surprise twist, the show reveals that Moiraine and Siwan are lovers, and together they've conspired to find and guide the true dragon. This relationship, while not present in the book, adds emotional depth and stakes to Moiraine's mission. Eventually, the group ventures into the Way's dark, ancient paths that allow fast travel but are haunted by madness. Within, Rand begins to remember pieces of his past. He's not who he thought he was. His father, Tam, once found him on the battlefield, and his real mother was Aiel warriors of the desert. In the books, Rand's true heritage is uncovered much later, but the show pulls the curtain early. Moiraine realizes what he is. Rand al'Thor is the Dragon Reborn. Fearing what he might become, Rand slips away with Moiraine alone. Their journey leads them to the Eye of the World, a mysterious location where the boundary between light and dark thins. There, Rand confronts a vision of a perfect life, a child, a home, a future with Egwene. But he sees it for what it is, a trick. Rejecting the temptation, he unleashes his power, defeating the Dark One's emissary with an ancient artifact. Then he disappears, asking Moiraine to tell the others he died. In contrast, The novel's Eye of the World is home to a great battle where Rand unknowingly channels the one power to defeat two of the Forsaken. The book's climax is more action-driven, where the show's finale leans into metaphor and internal conflict. Back in Tarvalon, Mat mysteriously vanishes, walking back into danger, setting up a cliffhanger for Season 2. And on a distant shore, new ships arrive. We witness the power of the Seanchan conquerors, who enslave channelers and level a coastline with terrifying magic. Their appearance foreshadows major conflicts to come. In summary, the first season of The Wheel of Time captures the essence of the original novel, but takes bold liberties. Characters are deepened, timelines are compressed, and backstories are altered. Mat's corruption, Nynaeve's power, Perrin's guilt, and Rand's destiny are all brought forward, while the mystical ambiguity of the books is sometimes traded for emotional immediacy. But the heart of the story remains. 5 young people drawn into a world far bigger than their quiet village, each bound to the turning of the wheel in their own way.